Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us for this academic lecture in animation by Arts University Bournemouth. And we're really happy to be welcoming back Sarah, who spoke to our students this week as well on different topics from the Arts University Bournemouth, giving a fantastic overview of design choices. This lecture is going to focus on animation, and if you want to see the design one, that is also available on our school YouTube site. So without further ado, I'm going to pass over to Sarah to begin our lecture on animation.
Thanks, Ruth, and hello and welcome to everyone to the presentation, which will be about Arts University Bournemouth, but in particular the animation specialism, as Ruth mentioned. My name is Sarah and I work in the international office, and I'm joined by a third-year animation student called Eva, who will be joining us a bit later. She's there, waving. She'll be joining us a bit later to give a bit of a presentation about her experience on the programme, and at the end answer any questions that you might have. So this first slide you're looking at, for anybody who came to the last presentation will know that it's a twilight photo of our AUB drawing studio. And this image is chosen because it represents what lies at the heart of many courses, including animation, at Arts University Bournemouth, and that is the art of drawing. So here's just a few facts and figures about Arts University. We've been going a long time, about 130 years. We think of ourselves a bit like a living, breathing academic environment for creativity, full of like-minded teachers, students, technicians, who really make amazing things happen. Alongside that, we have head-turning architecture like that drawing studio. And in a minute, I'm hoping this video is going to play, it's not a blank slide, which will show you an aerial view of the campus in under a minute, so you can really get a feel of what our campus looks like. We're a small university, around 3,700 students from about 55 different countries. And I'm very proud to announce that we very recently been named as the UK's top specialist art and design university, teaching quality and student experience by the Sunday Times Good University Guide. We have retained our TEF Gold, our Teaching Excellence Framework Gold standard for teaching. And as I mentioned, all on one well-equipped modern campus. Right, let's see if this plays. If it doesn't play, I will move on to the next slide, but I'm hoping this will work if I can get it lined up. Okay, less than a minute. See that again. Right, so that gives you an idea of what the campus looks like. You can see a great shot there of the drawing studio, and I'm sure Eva will be able to tell you about that. I'm sure she's been in there. So the main full-time courses at Arts University are the Foundation Diploma, which is that one-year course which prepares students for study at BA level. Now, this is not compulsory. Students don't have to do this. But often students who do say that they felt really well prepared and really well engaged and had explored lots of different ideas and technologies and experiments before they started their bachelor. Then, of course, there's a choice of 23 specialist BA honours undergraduate programmes. And then there's our master's and postgraduate and PhD programmes as well. So this presentation will cover a bit about what animation is. I'll talk a little bit about the foundation preparation to study animation. So we'll tell you a little bit about what they do on that. Then I'll give you a summary of what BA Honours animation is about and some examples of the sorts of careers that students have gone on to achieve. And then I'll hand over to Eva, who will give you a short presentation about her experience of being on BA Honours animation. So this first slide just gives you really something to think about. This is a pioneering animator who has been quoted as saying that animation is not the art of drawing that move, but the art of movements that are drawn. So I would encourage you to think about that perhaps when we're going through the presentation and maybe ask questions about it when we finish, or hopefully we've managed to give you some ideas about that as we go through. And all the way through the presentation, you will see artwork by students that has been produced over the years and used throughout the presentation. So, as I mentioned, this is the foundation. I'll be talking a little bit about this. And students start the foundation in September, and they will cover a variety of different subjects to begin with. So you'll explore not only animation, but also perhaps graphics or fashion or film, or the basics of drawing, but certainly lots of really solid drawing skills, visual storytelling and character creation. So you will look at animation production, workflows, digital and traditional, but this might happen a little later on in the programme after you've done all those really juicy projects right at the beginning and chosen that pathway that you're really focused on doing for your bachelor. So projects that students do once they've decided on animation are designed to introduce students to animation principles. So methods of animation, be they cell-based or abstract, storycraft, world building, so those scenery and landscapes and locations, perhaps where your characters are positioned or placed, where the story takes place. Digital techniques that facilitate the animation process. So animation needs disciplined time management, and there you are again, that drawing and more drawing. These are the kinds of projects that students will do once they've chosen this as a pathway. They'll do a 2-week project, which involves creating a GIF. So you'll create hand-drawn, frame by frame, looped GIF animations. You'll explore the 12 principles of animation and incorporate all of those into your short animation. Then you'll do a 3-week project of stop motion animation, which will introduce you to working in a 3D traditional workflow. This is a group project because it's really important that students learn how to work in teams, because of course, when you go out into a career, go out into industry, that's what you'll be doing. Students in groups produced a 30 to 60 second stop motion animation inspired by a theme. And then a 4-week project, animatic project, focuses on visual storytelling. So you'll work from a piece of text, adapt a story, design the characters' layouts, and create an animated storyboard. Again, really important for when you start to do those animations so that you understand where your characters are going and what the story is and how the sound is going to influence that story. These are pathway-specific workshops that take place during the foundation. So character articulation workshops. And here you can see students build rudimentary armatures for characters for their stop motion projects. Points of articulation are visited first in the GIF project and then built upon in this second part of the workshop. BA animation workshops, so students will join students on the BA animation and work with them to build and bring to life their short animation scenarios. So there's very much that link with the BA Honours programme at this level, at foundation level. And students are also invited to attend other workshops and events that BA Animation and BA VFX, perhaps their guest lectures or seminars that are taking place with those degree courses. So they start to get a flavour of what it's like to study on that 3-year programme. So here's some examples of some animation projects, and you can see there's some drawing on the right-hand side. 2 projects are individual, but one is team-based. And as I mentioned, it's really important that students get used to this idea of working in teams. Animation at AUB is, like many of the subjects at AUB, very maker-based. That's what we have, this maker culture. And it demands, it's feasible because it gives students an idea of their specialist area within animation. There is homework weekly, and each one is designed to upskill the techniques that perhaps you already have, or perhaps learn new ones and generate designs, or maybe a bit of both. It's important to draw from observation, and in a bit we'll talk about the portfolio. It really is important to draw from direct observation rather than drawing from perhaps photographs or even digital images, and really essential for all the projects in animation pathway. Research, reflection and documenting is really, really important. And you will have the opportunity to pull all this together towards the end of your foundation in order to put together your UCAS statement. You will be offered a guaranteed place on the BA Honours Animation at AUB once you've finished and passed your foundation. But we also help you apply for universities that perhaps you'd thought about whilst you were in the UK. And we help you put together that portfolio. We hope you'll stay with us, of course we do, but we do give you the opportunity to put together a portfolio, which is really impressive. And also that personal statement, which really talks about your uniqueness and what you'd like to do perhaps going forward in your career or as part of your degree. Now, these can be traditional ways of writing things down, or of course, many students use digital methods like blogs or websites. It really doesn't matter how you note things down. The important thing is that you do. And students on the animation pathway are asked to set up a Vimeo or perhaps a YouTube to put their work so that it's easily accessible from anywhere if those that want to look at it. It's also a good way of promoting your work digitally on the internet. So onto BA Honours Animation, and this is a scene that was created by one of the animators on the animation course. Just very briefly, this, as I mentioned, is some ideas or suggestions for what you might want to put in a portfolio if you are considering applying for BA Honours Animation. There's that all-important emphasis on proving your ability to draw, so lots and lots of drawing, ideally from direct observation. We love to see sketchbooks because this, of course, is where your ideas come from, where you develop those ideas and that kind of raw creative process that you go through, perhaps with your characterizations or even the scenes or emotional expressions, that kind of thing that you work on. Or perhaps you've done some anatomy or life drawing. We'd like to see all of that in your portfolio. Storyboard ideas are important too, so we can see that you can structure a narrative, that you understand that all your characters do have adventures, and sketchbooks of film visuals, if possible. DVD showreel is nice, it's a bonus if you've had the opportunity to do that, but not compulsory, and ideally no longer than 5 minutes. Electronic portfolios are absolutely fine too, but we would need the link, and always make sure that it's really accessible and it's not password protected or anything like that. If you're using a traditional portfolio, or digital portfolio, we're looking at around 20 images. And we'd like to see storyboard character designs and observational drawings. So a good mix of drawing and visual art. You won't need to submit the folio straight away. Initially, you submit your UCAS form with your personal statement, and then our admissions department will ask you to submit your portfolio a bit later on. So there's always a week or two, and you can always extend that time if you'd like to add. Perhaps you've got a really good project going that you'd like to add a bit later on. So here's a very brief summary of BA Honours Animation. They are accredited by the Screen Skills Academy. The facilities are spectacular. There are individual workstations, computer suites with specialist software. As I mentioned, there are regular visits from industry and opportunities to collaborate with other courses. Year 1 includes a drawing boot camp. So emphasis is placed upon those foundational skills in drawing and painting. In Year 2, you build on those skills and gain a strong understanding of what's required to produce animation from concept through pre-production through to post-production. And then by the 3rd year, you've really started to think about perhaps where you fit in the industry, what your career and how that might take shape. And so you identify that specialist role and start to develop a more professional portfolio around your area of specialist interest, whether that's 2D, CGI, production, whatever that might be. And of course, the teachers will be there to help you make those decisions and choices. And there'll be lots of opportunity to talk to industry and probably alumni students about what they've done and how they made those choices. You can see at the bottom there, there's some names you will recognise of career destinations that students went on to achieve very successfully. And I've got a slide in a bit that will also tell you a bit more detail about those. I've mentioned once or twice the idea of VFX that students may get involved in. We have a BA Honours Visual Effects for Film and Television course, and animation students will often work with these students in order to produce those sceneries and work together in teams. So this course was designed in order to meet the needs of industry, which is a huge growth area in the UK, which needs highly skilled graduates with the required professional standard. It's, as I say, expanding at an exponential rate and has created unprecedented demand for fresh, highly trained graduates, which they can get from AUB. The course does use traditional artistic techniques like drawing, again, colour theory, perspective, photography, composition. Some of these things you will have done perhaps in your art classes. But you'll learn what it takes to create a feature film, a quality feature film using visual effects. It's taught by industry professionals who've worked in studios including Framestore, ILM, Double Negative, some of these you will recognise, and many more. The film school at AUB is the only one actually outside of London, and it prides itself on creating the next generation of moving image storytellers, technical specialists and craftspeople. It is one of the oldest film schools in the UK. It's been going over 50 years, and as I mentioned, the biggest one outside of London. It includes 10 courses within AUB who all work quite closely together, and you can see the list there, which includes animation, of course, both BA and MA. And collaboration really guides all of the work within each of these courses, but also as a whole, because it mirrors the professional industry, because these people in those courses, in those jobs, will work together and perhaps create those networks, even at university. Perhaps that's where they will start, so that later on in their careers, they can call on each other and perhaps work on projects together. So they are committed to providing graduates and students with more than just a good degree. They develop those skills and experience necessary to really excel in their industry, whatever that might be, whatever you go on to achieve. So here, as I mentioned, here are some animation graduates. Sorry, there's a lot of text on this, but they had such interesting stories to tell that I've highlighted a bit of them from somebody like Andrew Grisdale, who graduated from animation. And he mentions the fact that he got the opportunity to work on some juicy projects while he was at AUB. And I thought this part was lovely, that he thought the proudest moment in his career was getting the call from Pixar, asking him to go and work there. The studio is arguably the best in the world for animation, so a really proud moment for Andrew Grisdale and for AUB, as he was one of our alumni. He's worked on releases like Toy Story 3, Cars 2, The Good Dinosaur, and Finding Dory. So some really, famous pieces of animation there. And then there's, by contrast, Jamie Badminton, who graduated in 2002. And he opened a London-based animation studio with fellow AUB alumnus, Tim. So here's an example of that networking that goes on. And these guys got together and created this company, Carrot Entertainment, which now employs 40 people. They're most well known for developing and producing a series for the BBC called Sarah and Duck. You might have heard of it. If you haven't, perhaps you could have a look. And they say in their words that the course at AUB was a phenomenal foundation for them. So great words of encouragement from them. And then there's Natalie Young over here, who says at school she was always told off for doodling over her maths book. So there was a clue. And she remembers watching the AUB animated graduate films. And please do go and have a look at our graduation show. It's available on the website. And she thought they were leagues better than many other universities. So she knew she wanted to be where those films were being made. She loved the collaborative nature of the animation course. And when Framestore, who set up an office in University House on the campus, looking for graduates to help, she knew she had to apply, she had to get there. So she got this to start and work directly on projects. She's worked on a film you've probably heard of called Gravity, and she mentions here that it was both challenging and a very rewarding experience. And at the end there, she says she has to admit she was pretty starstruck whenever she saw Alfonso Cuarón, the director, in the office. So some great stories there from our alumni. These are some of the companies I've mentioned that students go on to work for. You will know most of them. The other thing to mention here is that all of these companies actually offer internships from 12 weeks to 6 months, and they are open to students to apply for. There's this website called Internships 101, which is really interesting for students to go and have a look at. And you can see all the details and the sorts of roles that students can go on to do just by looking on this website. So do go and have a look at that. Right, I've done enough talking. I'm going to stop sharing my screen and hand over to Eva, who is our third year student at Arts University, and she's going to talk to you a bit more about her experience. Over to you, Eva.
Hello, everyone. I'll try to share my screen with you because I have a small presentation with some pictures and things we've done. If you give me a second. Yeah, can everyone see this?
Yes.
Okay. So, yeah, this is a picture from the main studio where usually first years work. And the things you see that people are working on are the light boxes, which you use to create the traditional 2D animation on paper that all first years do throughout the whole year, basically. So basically, the animation course obviously involves traditional animation on paper, 2D digital animation, 3D animation, and stop motion animation. So you get to choose in your second year your specialist pathway. So which one of those you want to do as a career later on. And the main software, you can see the list there, but the main ones we're using are Adobe, so Photoshop, then Toon Boom Harmony, Storyboard Pro, which is also part of the Toon Boom Harmony, which you get for free, provided by the university. Also, you get Dragon Frame, Maya, ZBrush, and all of these are available for free to the students. Adobe, usually it's not free to the students, but because of the pandemic now, all students have free access to it for their personal computers, I mean. Otherwise, they're free on all campus computers, so no need to worry about any software things. Then this is what we did in our first year. So basically, the course does not involve any exams. All the work that is being marked is 100% practical. So you submit portfolios with drawings and animation reels you've done, and you write 2 essays a year. So that means you only write 2 essays in first year. And in first year, we've had some workshops with professionals. There was one about stop motion, and there was a guy from Ardman coming to talk about this, how they work in Ardman, what things they do, and you can see an example of it here, some of the dolls he brought in to show us. Also, we had an acting workshop, because it's very, very important when you create animations to really know how things work and how the characters act. And it's also best if you also act it out. So we were supposed to basically become actors for this workshop and try to see how our characters would be moving and so on. In first year, there is a very, very big emphasis on drawing and developing your drawing skills. So live drawing is a very important part of the of first year and just the course in general. And we have naked models who come in and you draw them. Because of the pandemic, it's a bit more complicated now. But I know that first years are still models on campus and they draw them. It's just they gather in smaller groups. And also, of course, live drawing involved drawing animals. And we had, these are, if you see the raccoons on the screen, these are Charlie and Socks. These were the raccoons that came to visit us on campus 2 years in a row. And the students, so me involved, got the chance to draw them from life and just in Bournemouth. If you see the drawing on the screen, this is from the Bournemouth Oceanarium. And probably the most important thing in year 2 was when we started developing individually or collaboratively our film pitch ideas. So basically, you from scratch start creating an idea for a film. You design the characters, you design environments, or whatever you're more interested in. Maybe you want to do more animation for it. And then this is going to be presented in the last final year. People vote for some of the films, and 12 of them get made in third year. And yeah, some examples from where we've been. And yeah, the animals are always really, really cute. Yeah, that's from London, Christchurch, and Oxford. And again, some examples. Was some of the part of the storyboard that we made. Some dancers, some drawings again. Basically, this was from Russell Code. So you go there, you draw whatever you see, and then it can turn into a bigger painting. And this was some work for third years and for my film pitch. And what we're doing in year 3 is basically working on those 12 films that were chosen. And yeah, you have a team for the whole year. You work there, you go through the whole animation pipeline from pre-production, production, post-production. And currently we are in the pre-production process, which means we are mostly concentrating on storyboarding, designing the character, designing the environment, testing out the animation. I'm personally responsible for animation, so now we're doing a lot of tests to see really how the characters are going to be moving. And also third year involves portfolio development, where everyone individually works along the team project, works on their own portfolio to kind of fill in the gaps. So let's say if you're not doing enough of something on the team, maybe you want to concentrate on it in your portfolio development unit. So it's really when you can get creative and do what you want, because all the work you create, finally it's going to be in your portfolio afterwards. And that's what people from the industry are going to see and offer you jobs, hopefully. And we're writing our dissertation this year as well. And obviously we're mostly online because of the pandemic, but we get the chance to go and work on campus again because AUB has made this opportunity for students to learn both online and on campus. And these are some examples from work that the BA graduates from 2020 and 2019 did. All great work. You can check it out on either if you go to the AUB website and then the animation page, or you go to Vimeo and you go to AUB animation, and you can check all the cool stuff AUB animation students have made. It's really incredible and yeah, amazing. And yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to ask or put them in the chat. But yeah.
Oh, thanks, Eva. That was fantastic. Really fantastic. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Sarah and Eva. Everybody who's here, please do put any questions that you have in the chat and we'll be able to ask those to Sarah or Eva. We do have a few questions at the moment. So Eva, I'm going to start with you. Are you glad that you went to a more specialist arts university over a university that offers many different courses?
Yeah, definitely. I do see the difference because I have friends in other UK universities that are studying art, but the university doesn't necessarily do only art courses. And the thing is that everyone at AUB, no matter what course they're doing, is doing something creative, and it's art, and they actually understand what art means. So you don't feel like, oh, maybe I'm dumb because I'm not studying medicine or I'm not studying maths. No, like art is very, very important, and being in a community where everyone understands how important art and creativity is, it's really nice. So yeah, that's like a plus. And you can also like find always there's something interesting happening around because everyone is so creative. You can see like last year there were people from, I think, model making, costume, I don't know, I'm not entirely sure, but they were walking with this giant model of a dog thing underneath it around campus, and it just looked normal, like, oh, that's fine. And or if you see like makeup students wearing weird makeup all over themselves and just walking around campus. It's totally fine. I had my flatmate who's in makeup use me as a model for her makeup. So I was just walking around AUB with like weird flowers, a snake wrapped around my throat, some very shiny gold makeup on. So it's really, really fun, and it's really nice to be in that kind of community. So yeah, definitely I would say it's a good choice to go for a completely art university if you're doing something art related.
Fantastic. Thanks, Eva. So we've got a question from a student. What sort of animation-based equipment would you need for the animation course? So maybe that'd be Sarah or Eva.
Maybe Eva would be best placed to answer that one. Her slide was very specialist.
So if you're asking if you have to buy anything, no. So everything you need to do your animation successfully, the university has it on campus. So for animation in the studio, there are the light boxes where you are doing your paper animation during first year. There are computers for everyone. We have computer rooms with drawing tablets where you can do the digital animation. We have all the software on each computer as well, so you don't have to worry about any software licenses and stuff like that. We have, of course, paper, drawing materials, everything for live drawing sessions are also provided by university. So basically, even if you come empty-handed to university, you don't have to worry about anything. And even if you decide you want something to, of your own, you can always buy. You can, of course, order it online, or we have an art shop on campus. So that's not a problem. I would recommend if you bring a laptop, maybe, or of course, feel free to bring anything you want. If you have it, but if you don't have anything, you're absolutely covered by university, so you don't have to really worry about getting any equipment. University has also cameras if you want to do stop motion and you have to shoot your animation. They have absolutely everything, honestly, and you can always ask after each unit we are asked for feedback. So you can always say that, oh, maybe I didn't get enough of this, or maybe I would have liked if we had more of this. So they would try to do their best to get it and do the course as like great as possibly it could be. So yeah, no worries about that.
Okay, excellent. This might be quite a while ago, Eva, but can you remember what you wrote about in your personal statement?
Yes, because I've been reading it again because I'm helping my sister to apply to universities. But well, basically, you just really need to show that what you applying for is what you really want to do. So basically, I was mostly explaining my love for animation and all the things I've done, like anything related to animation in a way. Trying to explain it there. Also, it's very important to show in your motivational letter, so to say, personal statement, yeah, that you can work in a team and that you're good at time management, because really animation is about working in team and being very organized and disciplined, because we're now, especially in third year, we're really working with deadlines and trying to organize a team and be kind to people and try to just make it a good experience in this team. So if you can really give examples for something that might involve team organization, some social skills, it's really nice if you include that and show the tutors or whoever's checking the personal statements that you can do that. And yeah, just really, really show your passion for animation if that's what you want to do.
Perfect. So you did talk about being inspired and improving your skills through artists and animators. Do you have a favorite animator and artist that you would look to?
Okay, that's a very complicated question. Animator, I don't necessarily think, because all of them are off so good when you, I do like John Ripa, I think that's how you pronounce his name. He's also on Instagram. He was an animator on Treasure Planet and also other like Disney films. Um, I do like Miyazaki as well, but might sound a bit too cliche. I'm sorry, but yeah, it's just great. And also as an artist, I love currently a very like inspiring for me is Celine Kim. She's also on Instagram. And just the way she draws her visual vis def work, so backgrounds and characters, is just such an inspiration for me, and I really want to make that kind of work as well. So yeah, these are favorites of mine for now.
Fantastic. And Eva, what do you want to do when you graduate? Do you have like a 5-10 year plan after you graduate? Is it something you've thought about?
So I'm currently concentrating on developing my animation skills, and also for my portfolio, I want to have visual development work. So yeah, environments and characters. And I'm thinking that because people usually ask me if I'm going to do MA after I graduate from BA, and I was like, well, I would prefer to go into the industry first, see how it is, and then if I need something more, I'll go to do masters. But yeah, my plan is basically to find a job, and because if you're still a student that just graduated, of course, you shouldn't be expecting like the best possible job ever, like your dream job come true. So just starting in a maybe a smaller studio so you can really get to try everything, because that's the difference between small and big studios. In big studios, you might not be able to do as much because you're going to be doing only a certain thing. So maybe going for a smaller studio first, getting some experience, and then after that, really going for it.
Okay. You mentioned as part of your first year, I think, commercial projects. Who did you do your commercial project with, and what do you think are the main things you learned through doing that commercial project?
So one of the things we did, I don't think it was necessarily for actual commercials that you're going to see on TV, but it was more like, that was the first one for Skittles. So, you know, I mean, the candy Skittles. So you basically choose your teammates from the course, and you just try to develop a 30-second animation that is interesting and that's going to be successful if it was to actually air on TV. But then the thing that actually we had people from the NHS come to us, and they wanted a game, to develop a game. Okay, to be honest, I'm sorry, but I forgot what exactly was the game about. I think it was probably something to do with mental health. Not sure, I'm sorry, but basically they asked us to do a short animation as well to develop this game that will promote taking care of yourself, making sure you eat healthy, that kind of thing. And we again were working in teams, and we're trying to achieve something that looked nice. And there were really good examples from the course that really looked very nice. So I think you can actually find it somewhere on AUB's Vimeo if you want to check it out. And also probably the one that I know what actually happened with it was the dog competition commercial we were working on. So we had to design the dogs, because it was a collaborative project as well. People from film, makeup, and animation were working together, and we were supposed to be animating dogs that would go well with the live action footage we had. And then, yeah, that was used to basically advertise the dog competition there. So, yeah.
Hey, that's brilliant. That's lots of different examples there. I can see that there's a few questions about portfolios in the chat. Sarah is there, like you mentioned in the application process, that they apply through UCAS, they wait to hear from admissions with instructions on how to apply with the portfolio. Is there a time between those two times? So say they apply, will they hear from admissions, do you think, quite quickly after they apply, or is there more of a delay, or do you wait until January to make those offers? Is there any structured guidance there?
It really depends on how many applications there are being processed. We're pretty quick because, you know, remember, we are quite a small university, and our admissions department are amazing, and they do process them quickly because they know that students are waiting, you know, to hear back once they've applied. So it can take a week, it can take two, or it can take more. And if students need a bit more time, as I mentioned, if they're working on a really, you know, great project that they're very excited about showing, they can ask for an extension. You know, they can say, can you hang on another week or so that I can include this project? So I think it's something not to worry about is the answer to it. You will have the time you need in order to show your best work. That would be my reply.
Yeah. Fantastic. So yes, I think the biggest thing there about the portfolios is don't worry.
Yeah.
You did also mention that you're doing one-to-ones on portfolio advice at AUB. Could you share the link? Is there a link to maybe look at that? I'm not sure what year groups we've got represented here, but maybe if you're a year 12 student or a year 13 student, then please do get in touch with Sarah directly for a one-to-one portfolio review.
Yeah, I've just got to find it, but yes, I will. If I
find
can't
the
find
link
it now, I'll send it on. I should be able to find it.
Hey, Eva, I think Sarah mentioned the theme for the stop motion project in year 1, I think. Can you remember what your theme was? And did you get to choose the theme, or was it chosen for you?
So we didn't really have the theme. The whole idea with themes you mean team as a team of people, or theme as a topic?
Theme as a topic.
Yeah, we were doing, we didn't have a theme for it. I think people now, after they've revisited the course and redid it again, because you know how they're updating it every 5 years, they have themes for the work they do, but when I was the first year, we didn't. So basically, we just had the opportunity to try how stop motion feels like. So we had armatures, so the dolls, and we were told to, okay, this is how you do it now, do whatever you like. So we were doing getting up, we were doing a walk cycle, we were then being more creative and doing whatever we like. So some people were doing some were making the doll pick up a flower, or that kind of thing. It was really just about experimenting. And in second year, when we were divided in the specialist pathways that we were interested in, so basically 2D stop motion or 3D, everyone had a fairy tale assigned, and we were supposed to be doing the small team projects based on the fairy tale. So for me, it was the Frog Prince. For the stop motion group, I think it might have been Cinderella. I think it was Cinderella. So that kind of thing. It wasn't really a theme for necessarily.
Okay, so it's good to know the course is updated, it sounds like, very frequently. So that's really good based on feedback. I did have one more question for you, Eva. Now I can't remember what it was. So Sarah, just talking about different alumni, you've both mentioned collaboration a lot being really important, a really important transferable skill. If there are alumni that don't want to go into animation, is there other industries that they go into using this very transferable skill of collaboration? And what other transferable skills do you think you gain from this course?
I'm sure Eva's got something to add to this, but I mentioned the film school that we have at AUB, and so students are exposed to areas of, I mentioned VFX, film, illustration. There were 10 others that were on that list, but I think any one of those are available for animation students as careers. Maybe Eva's got some more specifics.
If I have to give an example, let's say you're doing animation now, but then you decide you want to do something else. The good thing about doing animation is that offers different skills, and obviously all the social skills like team management, talking to people, that kind of thing, and all the drawing things and software skills that you've learned are very, very useful for different industries as well. For example, if you're doing storyboarding for animation, you can go then to live action films and do the same, because it's very useful for live action films to see their film drawn out and if it's going to work well before they actually make it. So you don't even have to work in the animation industry, you can go to film. If you're really good with 3D, you can go and do that for live action films as well. Also apps, like everything that has creativity in it outside in the world, and it's not necessarily film or animation industry, can still get you there. Like if you can draw, you can easily go and draw a book cover for a book or something. You can design video games, you can design, honestly, if you really sit down and think about the skills you have, you can connect them to something else that's not necessarily animation. So it's really very useful that you can actually, maybe animation is not your thing, but that's what you've studied, but then you go and find what kind of thing you can do with the skills you've learned. So it's really nice. That's like a thing I very much enjoy.
Fantastic.
The only other thing I'd add, and thanks Eva, you prompted me, was to think that those skills, obviously they include things like problem solving. I mean, number one is that idea of critical thinking or problem solving. Ideas Eva mentioned. I mean, you've got to be, you've got to be able to pitch ideas, but you've also got to be able to defend them. You've got a good idea and you want people to listen to you and understand that it's a good idea. And maybe if they don't, you've got to have a bit of resilience. So you've got to be able to pick yourself back up and say, okay, that wasn't best. Eva's nodding. And move to the next one, so there's all those things on top of the, the time management and everything else. But I really wanted to pick up on something Eva said earlier, that she said one of the skills that they do talk about and that she is being kind to people.
Yeah.
I just thought that was a perfect summary of what creative arts is all about. Being kind to each other, working teams, being kind to the planet. I just thought that was a great thing to say, and I wanted to highlight it.
If you if any of you students have listened to a professional talk about animation, or like basically any kind of creative job, that's something they always emphasize: be kind to people, because you want to work with nice people and you want to be nice to people so that they can then call you and say, hey, we want to work with you again. And just it creates a friendly atmosphere and you're not stressing out, because animation specifically, it's very, very like low pressure all the time. We had a guest talk, John Stevenson, who was the director of Kung Fu Panda, like 2 days ago, talking to us, and he was like, animation, it's very hard and you have to really work hard because it's very competitive and it's low pressure all the time. So kind of be prepared for that and be kind to people, and really, because you want to make it good for you as well as for others. So yeah.
Perfect. I think that's coming to time now. So thank you everybody for your questions, and thank you so much, Sarah and Eva, for answering all those questions and doing a fantastic presentation on animation at Arts University Bournemouth. That's brilliant. Thank you everybody for coming, and feel free to leave. This recording will be available on our Alice Smith YouTube site.
And if I can just quickly say, I'm sorry, if anyone has any more questions about animation, we have a Community Champions email address, and you can email me there, and we can answer questions.
Do you want to put the email address in the chat, Eva?
Yeah. It's this one. So yeah, if anyone has any more questions later on, feel free to message there.
Perfect. Okay, thank you everybody.
Thanks, Ruth. She's a great ambassador, isn't she, Eva?